This is the pre-trip for bus 800. As I approach my bus, I note that there are no wires or limbs on the top of the bus from maybe the storm last night. I note that my bus is not leaning from one side to the other, indicating that it might have a suspension problem or possibly a flat tire. I note that there are no children's toys or anything around the outside of the bus. And I note that there's nothing leaking under the bus, such as oil or coolant. I also note that there doesn't appear to be any damage to the bus. As I approach the bus, I'll start from top to bottom. These are my clearance lights, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. These are my amber and red loading and unloading lights, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. This is my windshield, and it is clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. These are my windshield wipers, and they are properly secure, all bolts in place, and I'll show you when I get inside that they are working properly. These are all the mirrors on my bus, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. These are my left and right turn signals, hazard lights, and park lights, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. These are my headlights, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. This is my crossing arm, and it is properly secure, all bolts in place, and as you can see, it moves freely. This is my tag, and it is clean and properly secured. And now I will unlatch my hood. And we'll start on the conventional side of the bus under the hood. The first four things I want to tell you about is this is my windshield washer reservoir. And my windshield washer reservoir is not leaking. It's properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's at the proper level, at least half full. If it wasn't, I would take this cap off here and fill it with the proper amount of windshield washer fluid. Next is my transmission dipstick, and my transmission dipstick, I would check the level in the transmission with the engine running and warm and the parking brake applied. I would pull the dipstick out, wipe it off, reinsert it, and check to see if it's pull it back out again and check to see if it's at the proper level. If it wasn't, I would put a filter here and add the proper amount of transmission fluid and check it again. These are my hoses on this side of the engine, and all of my hoses are not leaking. They're properly secure and not bulging. All of my wiring on this side of the engine is properly secure and not frayed. The next group of four that I want to tell you about is this is my alternator, my fan, and my water pump is down below, and they're all driven by the serpentine belt. Let me tell you a little about each of those. My serpentine belt is not cracked or frayed, it's not glazed over, and it has no more than 3/4 inch of play in it. This is my alternator, and it's properly secure, all bolts in place, and its wiring is properly secure. This is my fan, and my fan is properly secure, all blades in place, and none of them are bent, and there's nothing caught up in it, like maybe a Walmart bag or some other foreign object. And down below, where it's hard to see, this is my water pump, and my water pump is properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. The next group of three is my radiator and its components. Up top is my radiator reservoir, and it's filled at the proper level, as you can see, and it's not leaking. It's properly secure, all bolts in place. If I needed to add some, I would take this top off here, and a mixture of water and antifreeze I would add to it until it got back to the proper level. This is my radiator, and it's properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. This is my radiator overflow, and it's properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. The next group of 4 objects is my suspension system. This is my spring mounts. I have 2 of them, one on each end, and they are properly secure, all bolts in place, not cracked or broken, and not welded. And these are my leaf springs, and they are properly secure. None of them are missing, and they're not misaligned. These are my U-bolts, and they're properly secure, all bolts in place. And this is my shock, and it's properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not bent, and it's not leaking. And now these are the 5 components of my brake system. This is my brake hose, and it's properly secure, it's not bulging, and it's not leaking. This is my air chamber, and it's properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. This is my slack adjuster, and my slack adjuster has no more than 1 inch of play in it when my parking brake is released. It's properly secured, all bolts in place. And this is my brake drum, and my brake drum is properly secure, all bolts in place, and it has no oil or grease on it. And inside is my brake lining. My brake lining has at least 1/4 inch pad on it, and it is properly secure and no oil or grease on it. The inside and outside of my tires are not cut, slashed, or bruised. My tread on the front tires is at least 4/32 of an inch. My tires on the front cannot be recaps or regrooves, and they cannot be mismatched. My rim is properly secure. It's not welded. All bolts are in place, and none of them are loose, as would be evidenced by rust around them, indicating looseness. My valve stem and valve stem cap are properly secure in place. To check the pressure of my tire, I would remove the cap and put a tire gauge on the stem and check to see if it's at the proper pressure. If it wasn't, I would use a compressor and pump it up to the proper pressure, and then check with the tire gauge to make sure it's properly has the right amount in it now, and then re-secure the cap. This is my hub oil seal, and my hub oil seal is properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. Now this is the sight-sided side of the engine, and the top 4 items on this side. This is my power steering reservoir, and my power steering reservoir is properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. In order to check and see if it's at the proper level, I would remove this cap here, and there's a dipstick on it that would show me if it's at the proper level. If it wasn't, I would add some more power steering fluid to get it up to where it's supposed to be. This is my oil dipstick, and in the morning when my engine is cold, I would pull the dipstick out, wipe it off, reinsert it, and see if the oil level was at the proper level. If it wasn't, I would take this cap off of here and add some additional oil to it, and then recheck it with my dipstick to see if it was at the proper level. All of my hoses on this side of the bus are not leaking. They're properly secure. All of my wiring, electrical wiring on this side is properly secure and not frayed. Down in the middle of the engine, I have two things. The first one is this is my air compressor. It's properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking, and it's mechanically driven. Underneath here, where you can't see, is my power steering pump. My power steering pump is properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. Both my air compressor and my power steering pump are mechanically driven off the side of the engine. Now these are my steering components. Up here first is my steering rod, and my steering rod is properly secure and not bent, and it's properly greased. This is my steering box, and my steering box is properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. This is my pitman arm. My pitman arm is properly secure, all bolts in place, and its nut and cotter key are properly secure. This is my drag link, and my drag link is properly secure, all bolts in place, and the knuckle, the nut, and the cotter key here are properly secure. This is my steering arm on this side, and it's properly secure, all bolts in. And this is my tie rod, and it's properly secure and not bent. And this is the overview of this side, sight-sided side of the engine. And now we're going to re-secure the hood. Secure it on both sides. And after having secured this side of the hood, we're going to start and go down the whole side of the bus. But we're going to do it from top to bottom. So we look up from right where we're standing, and there's nothing new. We look down, and our mud flap is properly secure and not torn. From here, we're going to look up, and our clearance light is clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. And let me tell you that all of the lights in the front of my bus are the proper color amber, and all the lights in the back of the bus are the proper color red. This is my door, and my door opens and closes freely. And of course, if it doesn't, you'll reach in and free it by simply pulling on the handle. Like I said, my door opens and closes freely. Its hinges are properly secure. The glass on my bus door is all clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. This is my step well light, and my step well light is clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. These are the treads on my steps, and they are clean and properly secure. This is my handrail, and my handrail is properly secure, all bolts in place. As we look up, I can see that the glass on my side of the bus, this side of the bus, is all clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. This is my turn signal, my hazard light, and my park light, and it's clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. This is my fuel door, and my fuel door opens and closes freely. Inside, I have my fuel cap and gasket properly secure, and you can see that my fuel tank is properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. Down under the bus, this is my frame and cross members, and they are properly secure, all bolts in place, and not bent or welded. This is my exhaust system, and it's properly secure, all bolts in place, and not leaking. And leaking would be evidenced by carbon deposits. And this is my drive shaft, and it's properly secure, all bolts in place, and there's nothing caught up in it, like possibly the Walmart bag. Coming back out from under the bus, I look up, and I have another clearance light, and it's clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. And down below it, I have a reflector, and it's clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. And my storage compartment is properly secure. And these are my back tires. And as you can see, there's nothing caught up between my tires. No rocks or anything like that caught up. My tires appear to be spaced properly, and you can tell that my spacer is properly secure, all bolts in place. My tires back here have to be at least 2/32 of an inch tread, and they can be recapped or regrooved back here, but they still cannot be mismatched. The inside and the outside of my tire walls are not cracked or bulging, not slashed. My rim back here is properly secure, all bolts in place, and none of them are loose, as might be evidenced by rust around there. My rim is not bent and is not welded. My hub oil seal is properly secure, all bolts in place, and it's not leaking. My valve stems, I have two of them back here, one for the inner tire and the outer tire, and their caps are both properly secure. And I would check the pressure in the tires back here, the same as I explained to you on the front tire. Now, as we stand back up from the rear wheels, we see that my mud flap is properly secure and not torn. Look up here, there's nothing else. Back here, another clearance light is clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. My reflector is clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. And now we come to the rear of the bus, and we would start the same as we did out front, from the top and go on down. These are my clearance lights, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. These are my amber and red loading and unloading lights, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. All of the glass on the rear of my bus is clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. My door opens and closes freely. And my hinges are properly secure, all bolts in place. This is my left and right turn signal, hazard lights, and park lights, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. These are my brake lights and park lights, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. These are my reverse lights or backup lights, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure. These are my reflectors, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. This is my tag light, and it is clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. And my tag is clean and properly secure. Under my bus, you can see that my exhaust system is properly secure and not leaking, as would be evidenced by carbon deposits. You can see that my rear axle is not leaking, it's properly secure. And let me tell you from here that I have the same components, the same 4 components to my suspension system and the 5 components to my brake system that I have on the front of the bus. I can enumerate them for you now. Ordinarily, they'll say, I just needed to know that you know those components are there. But if they don't say that, just go ahead and enumerate the 4 components to your suspension system and the 5 components to the brake system, the same as you did on the front. From there, we would stand up and go down this side of the bus, and we don't have to say anything about what's on this side of the bus because they're all the same until we get to where we don't have the same items. So our first thing would be the battery compartment. My battery compartment door is properly secure. My door opens freely, showing you that my 2 batteries inside are properly secure, all bolts in place, and they're not leaking. The terminals on the posts are properly secure and there's no corrosion on them. This is my stop sign, and my stop sign opens and closes freely, and my lenses on the stop sign are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. This is my electric box where I keep all of my circuits for the electrical system, and that door is properly secure. And up above, this is my air horn, and it's properly secure, all bolts in place, and I'll show you when we get inside that it's working properly. And now you come back around and go into the bus, and the inspector will follow you right up. I go ahead in and start the bus up so that we'll be able to hear my switches and all the other lights. From here, you're just going to talk about the interior of your bus, and you're going to put your hand on the backs of each seat and say that the backs of my seats are properly secure, all bolts in place, my floor is clean, my emergency door light is clean, not cracked or broken, properly secure, and you can see that it's working properly. My emergency door opens and closes freely, and you can hear the alarm comes on. Then you turn around and talk about the bottoms of your seats. The bottoms of my seats are properly secure, all bolts in place, and when you get the third seat up, you look up, and then you tell her, ma'am, this is my emergency exit hatch, and if I was to need to get out in an emergency, we would take and turn this 1/4 turn and press it up, and that would free the hatch. Now to reset the hatch, I have to push this up into the air, and we're doing that gently so that the electric doesn't come off. And then we're going to reseat the teeth right on the groove so that that middle plate goes right between the front teeth and the back plate. And then you pull down. And notice that the alarm goes off, and you can pull the hatch the rest of the way down. And then simply turn the lock back again. And you say to her, ma'am, I have 2 of these emergency exit hatches, and both of them are working properly. Okay? I have 6 emergency windows, 3 on each side, and they are opening and closing properly, and you can hear that the alarm does go off as I open the window. And then you continue up the bus, touching the seats as you go, telling her the rest of the bottoms of my seats are properly secure. And I did tell you that my floor was clean, and even my seat is properly secure, and its bolts are properly mounted. And then from here I would go ahead and sit down. And when you sit down, you're going to tell her that my seat belt is properly secure and properly adjusted. Now for the front of the, now you're going to demonstrate the front of the bus where you need to get your A. And so you're going to start from over here on the left-hand side above your head and move across to the far right. And then you're going to start on level 2 down by the windows and what you see out there. And then level 3 starts around here at the first aid kit, comes around through your switches and through your steering wheel, and a demonstration of the loading and unloading box. And level 4 drops down below that with the glove box and works your way across the gauges and ends with the lights. Then level 5 starts behind your seat with the 3 reflective triangles around to the left side of you, and then back across the floor with the brake, the accelerator, and ends with the fire extinguisher. So let's do that in detail. Starting in level 1, this is my camera box, and it's properly secure, all bolts in place. These are my defroster fans, and they are properly secure, all bolts in place, and their wiring is not frayed. This is my overhead mirror and my sun visor, and they are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. This is my body fluid cleanup kit, and it's properly secure and properly stocked. Then you drop down and come back through level 2, which is what you see through the windshield. You're going to tell her, ma'am, I told you outside that my windshield was clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. And I also need to tell you that it doesn't have any obstructions, like decals or anything like that on it. My mirrors are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure. And I need to tell you that they are properly adjusted for me. My windshield wipers are properly secure. Their blades are not torn or frayed, and they appear to be making good contact with my window. And I'll show you in a minute that they are washing correctly. I'm going to drop down to level 3 and tell them this is my first aid kit. It's properly secure and properly stocked. And as we go to the gauges, we're going to show her each one of them one at a time. This is my clearance light switch, and my clearance lights are on. As I can tell by looking in my mirror, I can see that my lights are actually on. The next switch is my dome lights, and my dome lights are clean, not cracked or broken, and properly secure and working properly. The next switch is blank. The next switch is my air horn, and you can hear that it's working properly. The next switch is my strobe light, and you can see that when I turn it on, the indicator comes on here telling me that my strobe light on the top of the bus is working properly. This is my heated mirror switch, and in the wintertime, when my windows get frosted up, this is a heater in here that will defrost them for me so I can see out of my windows better. The next switch is my defrost fans, and you can see that they are working properly. The next two switches are blank. This switch down here, and I'll show you these in half. This is my left defroster right here. This other side is my right defroster, which is right over here on the right side of the bus windshield. This next switch is my left front heater, which is right down beside me, and my right front heater over by the door. It's working properly. And this switch is for the auxiliary heater in the back of the bus. The next three are blank. These next three are my windshield wipers and the fluid. You can see that my windshield wipers are cleaning my bus and that the fluid is being dispensed properly. The blades appear to be making good contact with my windshield. Now moving across here, this is my steering wheel, and my steering wheel has no more than 2 inches of play in it before it turns my left front wheel. This is my left turn signal, and I can see out here by looking at the light that my left turn signal is working out there, and I can also see it on the dash. This is my right turn signal, and I see it's working on the dash, and outside I can see it in the mirror. The next is my hazard lights, and I see they're working here on the dash, and I can also see them outside on the lights. This is my ignition switch, and my ignition did work properly when I started the bus, and the switch is properly secure. This is my transmission shifter indicator and the rod, and you can see that it's properly secure. And I'll show you when I do some of my other tests that it's working properly. And now I'd like to demonstrate my loading and unloading box for you. In the morning, when I get ready to load my students, I turn my master flasher on. When I get to within about 100 feet or so of my student, I turn my amber lights on. I know my amber lights are on because I see them in my indicator box, and I can see them in my mirror out front. Okay. When I come to a complete stop students are right even with my door, I simply open my door. My door does open properly.